let's see what we can learn about testing with this particular problem. Write a program to sell tickets to shows. Shows have different prices for children, adults, and senior citizens, but unfortunately they each have their own price scale and definitions of child, adult, and senior citizen. The shows and their definitions are in the following table. So we'll start off with just those two shows. So typically what we would do is we would write the best program we can to meet this, and then we would write the test. It's better really to write the test first and then write the code until it passes the test. Now we just have to make sure the test is good enough. Alright, so let's look at test tickets. So we're going to say from tickets import well, what are we going to import? Maybe we do need to write some of the code first. Okay, so we're going to have a main prompt for the show and patron age, then call, let's see, then calculate. Okay, so let's see. How about if we, well, let's see. So show equals input, enter the show name. Age equals input, enter patron age, and now we can say, let's see, if show equals Star Wars, if age is less than 12, cost equals 2.5, and maybe we better have cost equals 0 here. Elif age is less than 65, cost equals 4.5, else, cost equals 3.5. Elif show equals Benji, if age is less than 10, cost equals 2.5, elif age is less than 60, cost equals 5, else cost equals 4.5. Else print no show by that name. So that's one way of writing this. how are we going to test this? Ooh, probably don't want to say chow. We'll say show. Well, as it turns out, since we're asking for input, it's hard to write an automated test. And so, really, the only way to test this is by trying it. Let's see, chmod 750 tickets.py, chmod 750. Don't worry about what this means. I should have done it before I started the video, but I forgot. Okay, so that makes them executable. So the way we would test this is we say, oh, well, nobody called main, so nothing happened. So that I really ought to learn what that magic incantation is. So can we say Python conditional call to main? Go away. Whoops. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to avoid. Okay, this is followed by a conditional. Oh, they misindented, but that's what I want right here. So I want if name, which apparently is a magic variable that Python sets for us, and main is a magic value, then we will call main. And that way we don't have to comment this out when we run our test. That's why this incantation is so nice. Okay, so let's try that again. And it says enter the show name, Star Wars, enter the patron age. Oh, well, okay, so that test works pretty well because I forgot that this should be int. Oh, not this one. This one needs to be int. And that's because I don't want fractional ages. You're either old enough, you're either this age or that age. We're not going to go fractions of a year. Okay. Enter the show name. I really ought to do Benji. It's easier to type. 62. And we didn't print out the cost. Well, all right. So if cost greater than 0, because 0 is what we defaulted to, print ticket price is cost .2f, right? See, we haven't used that for a couple of weeks and I've forgotten it, but I think that's how it works. Okay, so we're going to go with Benji this time, and patron is still 62, and that's 450. So if we look here, yeah, I'm over 60, so I got the 450. That looks pretty good. Boy, there's going to be a lot of cases here, aren't there? It gets painful to try all of these. And are you sure you've run all the correct tests? Well, that's why automated testing is nice, okay? So we don't have to try to run through all the cases here. Now, there are ways to give input with PyTest, and I haven't looked at how to do it. We'll see them next week or the week after next in the assignment. But I'm going to skip that, okay? I'm going to break this out into a function. So I'm going to show that it may be sufficient to test the user input by hand, so I know that show and age works. But I would like to put all of this into a function so it's easier to test. And so we'll say cost equals calculate ticket cost show age. And now we'll take this and move it up here and say ticket price is cost :2f. Okay, I guess I could put $1 on there too, couldn't I? That'll make it look just a little bit nicer. So now this is def calculate ticket cost, and it takes a name and an age. And I'm purposely changing that just to demonstrate it doesn't matter what this is named, okay? Up here I'm using the variable show, down here I'm using name. Doesn't matter, it's the position. So, of course, now I have to remember to change every instance of show to name. And I don't want to change my error message. And you use the rename function in your editor instead of hunting them down and changing them yourself, because that way you don't miss any. So we could still test this to see if I've broken that out correctly. Wow. Huh. Alright, somehow I changed that. Okay, tickets. Enter show name. Benji. 62. Greater than not supported. Oh. I guess I should have said return cost. So it's still a good idea to this would have been caught by an automated test as well, but in this case I caught it by just trying it manually. Benji 62 450, that looks right. Okay. But in fact, I don't want to test all the ways that this could work, do I? So now we go over here. Nope. Not there. And that's what I meant to do. So from tickets, import calculate ticket cost. So that's what we're going to test. We won't test the user I/O. We're just going to test the calculating function. That makes it easier. Oh, and how about if we import PyTest? So now we're going to call this test calculate ticket cost. And I need to put a def in there. And it doesn't matter what our test functions are called, but they have to start with the word test. Okay, that's the magic key that PyTest looks for. And so it'll go through this file and look for every function that starts with the word test. And so I can have other functions in here if I need them. I just don't name them starting with test. Okay. So now what I have to do is let's copy our table over. Actually, we'll just copy this whole thing over. Normally I wouldn't recommend that, but in this case it's just the easiest way of getting my documentation over here. Okay. So I want to write some cases. So I want to assert calculate ticket cost. I want the name Star Wars. And we're not going to test for an invalid name because I haven't written that very well. And we're going to make the age be 6. And we're going to assert calculate ticket cost Star Wars. And we're going to go for 20. That's certainly an adult. Oops, I need to say assert equals 2.5 equals 4.5. And this is one reason to return a number from the calculate function and turn it into a string in my I/O function, because it's this way I can test for a number, and I can use approx if I need to, which I don't in this case. It needs to be exactly that amount. But I'll make my calculate ticket cost, or calculate ticket cost, just return a number. Do you notice a problem here? I'm typing the same thing many times, which is tedious and error prone. And so there were some problems with that in my other program, but it's really obvious here. So maybe we want to set up a data structure that will help us to test with. Okay, shall we do that? Okay, so we're going to say test data. I'm sorry, I still use camel case. I should learn to use snake case. And we're going to say Star Wars. And then we're going to say 11, 2.5, 12, 4.5. I forgot the comma there, because to my eye it looks like it's not needed, but it is. And then we'll do 70. I said 70 and I typed 60. 3.5. And then we'll say Benji. And that's going to be 9, 2.5, 12, forgot my list there, 5, and 65, 4.5. There we go. Let's try that. Now I can say for name, ages, and prices in test data. I guess I really don't care about the name, do I? Well, it would help if I were doing error messages, which we're not going to. So we're going to say, so that breaks this into the name, and this is, oh, this was supposed to be one list. Oops, I missed a set of nesting there. This is why objects are easier than doing non-object oriented code, because I have to keep track of all these lists. So this is a name followed by a list which contains lists. Okay, so name and then ages and prices is this list. And we could test this by saying print age ages and prices, not age. And then we would just we would say test calculate ticket cost there, and we would just run test tickets. And I forgot to put my little F there, so it didn't know that's supposed to be a F string. There we go. So now I can see there's the name and there's the list. And we could also run it in the debugger to see that same thing, right? But that's not really what I want to do. So I want to say for age, price in ages and prices, assert calculate ticket cost, Oh, I do need the name here. Name, okay. That's good thing I got it then. And that should test all of these cases, all right? So now I want to replace this. I want to do pytest.main. And the thing I always forget is that this is a list. .py. Okay, so now if I run that, they all passed. So my code works, doesn't it? Well, I don't know how many of you are watching, but there's a bug in my code. Okay? And let's illustrate it by coming back over here. And if you noticed it and it's been bothering you, good for you. I'm going to demonstrate it manually first, so we'll see that my test is not good enough. So there's a science to writing tests as well. Tickets.py. If I say Benji, and the age, this says greater than 60. But if I put in 60, it says 450, which is the senior citizen price, not the adult price. And so there's a bug in my code which my test didn't detect. And so the first thing to do is go fix my test. And as it turns out, I haven't selected enough cases. What I really want to do, this one's a good one. I want to test up to the age 11, but now this one needs to be 12, and I need to test up to 65, and this one needs to test 66. So what I really need here is 11, 12, those two are good, and then I need 65, 3.5, and then not 70, that's nice and safe, but I need it to be 66, 350. And Benji has the same problem. 9, 250, I need to go up to, this one needs to be 10, 5, let's see, yeah, 10, 5, and I put 110, that would have broken. And then this needs to be 60, 5, and this one needs to be not 65 but 61, so that it'll catch my error. And now if I try to run the test, I can see I got 450 for Benji at age 60, and oh, this one passed because my test is bad. I expected it to fail. And so the problem is at 65 I put in the senior citizen price, but up to 65 it's supposed to be full price. Okay. So now I test tickets. Okay, it fails on Star Wars 65. So now I can come over here and I can see Star Wars less than, and I changed that to 65, and now it should pass that test. And now I've got another error, which is, whoops, that's the same error. Why is that still wrong? So age less than 65 should be 4.5, which is what it says here. But at 65 it returned 35, or 3.5. Okay, so now I've got a test that's failing. I think my code's right, but it's not giving me the result that I expected the code to give. So at this point I have to run in the debugger, right? That's the quickest way to track that down. So let's do that. Like I said, there's a debugger outside of VS Code, but this one's a lot more elegant to use. So I'm going to set a breakpoint there, and I need to open file testTickets.py, and so now I want to run under the debugger. And okay, there we go. So the name is Star Wars. The age is 11. Oh, well, I don't really care about that one, because that one passes. Now name is Star Wars. Age is 12. No, I don't care about that one. Name is Star Wars. Age is 65. This is the one I care about. Well, age is not less than 65. It is equal to 65. I didn't fix that. Ah, dear. Should be 66, right? So now we can try. How do I can't see my other file because this stuff is in the way. Oh, I see. That's where I can grab it. Okay. So if we just try running that now, error, file not found, testTickets.py. Well, this is why I have troubles with VS Code sometimes. So now we'll try it from here. Test tickets. I didn't save that out. All right. So there's two ways of saying this. I can say less than 66, but that doesn't look like that. It would be better to say less than or equal to 65. Okay. Oh, and now it's broke on Benji age 60 because this should be less than or equal to. All right. And so my automated test kept track of the fact that I hadn't fixed that yet. Okay. So up to this point, we've now verified that this is correct. There are no more bugs in it, assuming our test is good enough. And since our test checks, well, we're not checking for negative ages. So it checks for age 0 through 12, says 250. It checks 12 through 65 because we can assume that in between will still work. I guess ideally we should run some other tests here. You know, do 5, 2.5, put one in the middle here, 20, what's full price, 4.5, and maybe put one even after this, 70, 3.5. That's actually over testing, but maybe we would feel good if we did that. Should still pass, yes. And then Benji would kind of get the same thing. Just pick some lower age, 2.5. Then we want to pick an age in the middle here, 24, 5. And then we want to pick another age here, 75, 3.5. Okay, so now we try that. And it's, whoops, Benji 75. Okay, test broke. Is the error in my code? No, it's actually in my test because I put the wrong price in. And so there are some ways we could alleviate that. And maybe for the moment I'll just not worry about that. We'll leave it like this. But let's suppose that now the theater comes back to you and they say, oh, by the way, babies, which is anybody under a certain age, gets in free. You say, wait, that wasn't part of the original deal. They say, no, but that's what it is now. Okay, I'm not going to update this, but let's say under age 2, so we'll make them both age 2. Well, now we need to modify our test, but because we've set it up as a table this way, it's relatively easy to update this test. So let's put line breaks in there just to make it easy. So these are the child ones, these are the adult ones, these are the senior citizen ones, child ones, adult ones, senior citizen ones. Now I can just add baby. 0. And what price did I say? I think I said they get in free. Okay. And then it was under 2, right? So we got to test. Okay, so there are the baby tests. And in fact, because I've made them the same, I can just copy this data down here. And now we can test it. And it fails because I haven't updated the program. I just updated the test. I want to say that somebody who's 0 age should get in free, and I'm still charging them 2.5. So now I go update my code to fit the test. So now I say if age is less than 2, cost equals 0, and then I remember to say elif, and I'll say if age is less than 2, cost equals 0. So let's try that again. Benji 0 still gets 2.5. Why is that? Let's see. Calculate ticket cost. And if you're watching at all, you noticed it's because I left off the elif there. And that's what broke that. And now they all passed. And so by fixing the test first and then coming back and fixing the code, I know that this code is correct. Now, in fact, I don't know it's correct. And the reason why is because of my user IO up here. If I say tickets.py Benji 0, it doesn't give me a cost. And that's because I used 0 as a special case for the cost. And so I need to make this some other value. So I can say you may be able to get in for free. Now I can run it and say Benji 0, ticket price is $0.00. So when my automated test doesn't test the user IO, I have to test that myself. All right. Now you notice that I was able to update my test very easily because I made it data driven. As it turns out, I should have made my program data driven too. Then it would be easier to fix this. But I didn't do that, so it's more work to update this code than it is to update the test. There's one additional level of difficulty. That would be if the theater changed these breakpoints here. I would have to come in and change multiple entries here because I have an entry on each side of the breakpoint. And so there's still some problems with this test. I could do it better. But for our purposes right now, it's good enough. Hopefully that illustrates to you the value of testing, how to test, and that Brother Reading can talk forever. Thank you so much for watching.